Welcome to the PowerCat Podcast, the original K-State sports show. Here's your host, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to another edition of the PowerCat Podcast. Fitz and Gills and Coles all together again to answer your questions from Wabash Station. That's what we do in these parts. You get to ask them as a VIP subscriber to GoPowercat. Everyone listens to the answers. And what great answers they tend to be. Boys, how you doing? You good?
I'm doing absolutely great today. How are you?
I just did our buddy Scott McFarland's podcast. It comes out on Thursday, I believe. And I spoke to a journalism class today. And no dude seizures today. If you missed out on the live, I dropped out in the middle of it because dude started his little face twitch thing when he's about to have a epileptic seizure, and boy, he had a good one. So that was a first, and luckily I noticed it and was able to bail. Thank you, Gills, for taking over.
You're welcome.
The show probably benefited from my absence.
The ugliness factor dropped.
Yeah, I know
a lot. I did hear though, Fitz, that, and I've got sources in a journalism class that you spoke to. You called Gills a star tender.
Yes, I did.
Correct?
Yeah, I did.
Is that a compliment? You complimented me for once?
Yeah, that was a compliment.
Wow.
That I ruined your bartending career by making you go full time.
I thought you were just referring to him as a chicken tender, not a bartender.
He's also that because he's eaten so many.
Mm-hmm.
He's evolved. Just stop and look at him. He's kind of shaped like a chicken tender.
We do love the chicken around here.
Okay, let's get going with your questions from Wabash Station. Here's the first one. As always, I don't know what these are. I haven't read them yet. Cat and Kahlo ask us, our field goal kicking has been solid all year and punting was great against UCF. Do you think our special teams issues have been solved? That was never really my problem. It was more the return game and coverage and blocking. But yeah, you're right. I mean, what a find. To find a kicker that late in the process, they were looking for a warm body that could kick, and they've got someone that is rock solid. So, yeah, that's been good. And you know what? Part of it is a reality that I need to accept, and a lot of us need to accept, that the game isn't the same. People are a lot more wise with special teams than they used to be. You don't have Mac Brown running around like, well, we shouldn't kick it to David Allen, so I'm going to have my kicker kick it straight down the middle of the field and outkick his coverage, which I've done in my life. But, yeah, I mean, I think coaches got a lot more wise about it, and the kickoff game has just been trashed. I hate the rules. But, yes, quit making mistakes in special teams, and you know what? They had no mistakes. There was no empty possessions from special teams, which was a string they had managed the entire year, forfeiting a possession due to stupidity. So, thoughts?
I think, guys, that the question is talking about have the issues been solved? The issues, I think, are still there, but the fact that they haven't screwed up makes me want to say that it's been a net positive.
Yeah.
Right? Like anytime in special teams, you impact the game. If you take one back to the house, if you block a punt, that is a plus play, and your odds of winning increase tremendously. But if you just don't screw up, your odds of winning increase too. So they haven't screwed up. When's the last time they screwed up, guys? Would have been North Dakota on the kickoff.
Arizona. Sterling.
Yeah, they had a muff at Arizona.
Arizona, yes. Sterling Lockett with the muff punt. And you know what? You go back and you look at it. That could be the difference in that game. I mean, they were set to get pretty good field position, and who knows what happens. But they have had more positive plays than negative plays in the last two games. What does that mean? I don't know. So they need to get better on the return game. They need to get better on the punt coverage. I still think as good as Simon McClannon's been on some punts, they've kind of let a little bit, the returns have probably gone a little bit further than I think that they'd like. But as far as the actual kicking goes, I mean, you might have the best kicker-punter duo in the Big 12 right now. Mm-hmm. These guys are kicking the ball at a really high level.
He doesn't miss. Luis Rodriguez does not miss. They haven't really tested him at long distance. I don't think he has a huge leg, but he's a cool cookie out there. We asked him about it, and he said his dad taught him through soccer to, if you're facing a penalty kick or something and the pressure's on, just Think of words that train your brain to how you want to be focused. And I had never thought of that. Think of words. So it helps you tune out, and calm you down. Mine would be, I hate gills. And that calms me. And I could probably kick a field goal.
I don't think you could. But on Monday, Chris Kleiman mentioned, and maybe UCF's punter just had a bad day, but Kansas State wasn't exactly in the best spot or position to set itself up. So to say everything's been solved, no, you still had that issue. Was it something to do with UCF? That's neither here nor there. You didn't get any explosive plays. And going back to, Cole, you talked about earlier in the season, I don't want to say Bryce Nornberg's fumble negates his touchdown, but I think it's fair to say that that's just a wash. He had a really bad play and a really good play. So you take out his touchdown return, add in the blunders, Sterling's muff, and, guys, we could go on and on. It's still been a negative for the team. So I would say it's trending in the right direction. If I were to buy or sell stock in it, I think I'd look at buying, but special teams is not out of the woods yet. Now, with all due respect to Luis Rodriguez and Simon McClannon, we talked about them on Monday on the Insiders. They deserve a lot of credit for what they have done.
Yep.
That should be the standard. The standard should be putting the ball through the uprights. The standard should be getting a nice punt off your foot. Where you get your edge is the splash play, and we haven't seen enough of those generated.
And it's also fair to say, guys, Luis Rodriguez is going to miss a kick. There is a time where he is going to miss a kick. And you just hope that, if he could make those kicks that are 45 in, you will take that every single time. Anytime you're inside the red zone, you have to get points. If he misses a 50-yard field goal, on Saturday, it is what it is, right? That's going to happen. That happens in college football all the time. But as long as he's nails from 45 in, that's really what we're looking at. And the way that he's kicking the ball, there's no reason to believe that he won't continue to be just as good as he's been. It's those long kicks that you got to cut some kickers some slack, because we know the NFL guys, you watch the NFL every week, those guys are automatic. Very few rookie kickers are actually able to kick at that level, because those guys are just incredible.
Agreed. Onward we go. KSU Todd. Does the defense sub too often? Depth and rest are one thing, but constantly on and off the field seems counterproductive to rest and readiness. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep everyone fresh, but I think they're overdoing it. Pick your dudes, and then when they need some time off, give them some time off. But the one that really bothers me is the shuffling of the interior defensive linemen.
Mm-hmm.
The only time they really run in a game is when they leave the field. That's the most strenuous thing in terms of cardiovascular they do. Now, they're in the hand-to-hand combat the entire game, so that is exhausting. You do need to change them. But, just running them on and off the field constantly, I don't think it keeps them as fresh as you think it does. Because I just ran on the field, and now they're snapping the ball. So I think they've just gotten too carried away with the rotation of guys, and I understand they want to keep people fresh, but I think they can be less aggressive with that and understand that in this situation, this point of the game, our dudes, our best ones have to be on the field, period. I know you're tired. You got to be on the field right now because you're going to make a play. This is why we have you. Go do it. But instead, you look over, it's a big third down passing situation, and Toby's just hanging out on the sideline. I thought they did a better job on Saturday of that, of having their personnel come in the right times. But again, I think opposing teams are also baiting K-State into making substitutions by getting late in the clock, and then the K-State runs some people on and maybe take someone off the field you didn't really want off the field. So I don't know. I overthink everything, and I agree with what he's saying though.
Gilbert, I'm gonna bring this up, and I think you're probably gonna agree with me. I'm looking at Pro Football Focus's snap counts, and if you're interested in this whole article, it is behind the paywall over at GoPowercat, and obviously go check it out. But for the purpose of this take, I'm going to look at this, and I'm going to steal one position group here. Malcolm Alcorn Crowder at the defensive tackle spot had 23 snaps. Uso Seumalo had 25. Damian Alalio had 32. So really what we're talking about is the rotation of the interior defensive linemen. Because I agree with you, Fitz. Like, you look at the other snap counts, it would stand to reason why you have to rotate at the safety position. Those guys are running all over the field all of the time. But at the defensive tackle position, I just think if you believe that Malcolm Alcorn Crowder is 2 plays less than Damian Alalio, then okay. But I think people with eyes can tell you right now, or than Uso Seumalo, Malcolm Alcorn Crowder is playing himself into more snaps.
Right.
And I do believe that, you know what, don't be afraid to play some of those guys who were buried on the depth chart, but now they're showing that they can be useful contributors. Again, I understand rotating safeties. I really do, because those guys are all over the field. I even understand rotating defensive ends, because those are going to be the guys who are getting after the quarterback on a consistent basis. But if you feel like you have 2 defensive tackles that you can play consistently, play them 70% of the snaps.
I agree.
You
Give
have
me those totals again.
I'll throw Cody Steffelbein in there too. But
No, I want that's where I'm going. Give me those. Okay. Give me those 3 guys.
Damian Alalio 32, Uso 25, Malcolm Alcorn Crowder 23.
So 80, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was 59 offensive plays and 59 offensive plays
for UCF.
UCF ran 61.
61.
So somebody messed up, or they didn't have him on the field.
Total offensive plays. It's 59 on the final stats.
They said it 61 snaps on defense. Something. Anyways.
Okay, so let's just say 60. It's good math. That means 20 plays. They had a defensive end at defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Were those all 20 passing situations? No, they weren't. That's the thing that bothers me. One of the things that K-State is, and I haven't gone back and looked, it might be something to look at, is how often when they have a defensive tackle like Steffelbein or Bates or Cheaty, he does that once in a while. Cheaty's actually the right size, but he's more of a defensive end and talent. But you're too light. You can't take on an interior offensive lineman because you don't have space to work with, unless it's a passing down and you know your job is sick quarterback. I think they're getting bent back and opening up gaps for the running game. Why wouldn't you run right at that guy as often as possible? It bothers me, and I think Big B's talked about it. There's nothing wrong with this new defensive scheme, or the old defensive scheme as it is. It's been brought back, but you didn't address the personnel right. You needed to bring in a defensive tackle through the portal that was going to contribute, even if it's, not a star, but someone that is going to be part of the rotation. And I agree that this gets more defensive ends on the field, and those guys are talented, but I don't want a defensive end on a running down at a defensive tackle.
Exactly.
That's a formula for disaster. And I think it's been a big part of the disaster on defense. So go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
I think it's funny, guys. Great minds think alike. And to pull back the curtain, I picked the questions. Fitz and Cole don't know what's going to be included or not. So it's funny you mentioned the snap counts, and Fitz, you're interested in that as well. I did a little research here, and I do want to preface this by saying I would absolutely caution not having your star players, like you said, Austin Romaine or Toby, whoever that may be. I'd caution not having them on the field a lot. You want your best players on the field to make plays. And to shout out the insiders from Monday again, man, Ian Campbell mentioned, I think it was Ian, right? Like the last 15 plays of the game, that's when you really ramp it up, and fatigue shouldn't be a factor. But with regard to snap counts here, I think we can all agree, guys, that Kansas State played its best game of the season against UCF on Saturday, especially maybe defensively. Take out some of those big plays. It was one of the best maybe defensive games of the Kleiman era. But K-State had 3 players in that game that played 2/3 or more of the snaps on defense for Kansas State. Against Arizona, that was 7. Against Army, that was 8. So you might be wondering here, what came first, the chicken or the egg? K-State was on the field 83 snaps against Arizona, 82 against Army. That number was only 61 against UCF. So what really started that? What caused that? Was it the good defense itself, or was it the rotating there? And, Damian Alalio talked about this on Monday. I asked him, right, and he mentioned how when you kind of stick to the plan and you force them into 3rd and long and they're not putting pressure on the defense and you can sub your guys in and out and have those fresh legs, that's when everything starts to click and come together. So I don't want to say that is Kansas State's best formula to have a good defensive game moving forward, but against UCF, Kansas State had its best defensive game of the year when only 3 guys were on the field for 2/3 or more of the snaps. And that was, of course, Ason Rich, Des Purnell, and Austin Romaine. So I don't know. I don't necessarily disagree with you guys, but K-State had its best game when they were rotating and doing what it wanted to do. So it got off the field. I guess that's probably another aspect of that.
They did a good job of that.
I think a lot of that too, Gilbert, it's because they were so good on 1st and 2nd down, right? So you can take out the Malcolm Alcorn Crowders, the Uso Seyamalus, and you can replace them with the Ryan Davis. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but Ryan Davis was playing linebacker and blitzing on multiple occasions. I mean, you can get creative when it's 3rd and long and it's an obvious passing situation. So you're right. What came first, the chicken or the egg? I think that the formula is really simple, and this is why football is such a complex yet simple game. If you win on 1st down and 2nd down, the odds of you winning the football game go up tremendously because then you can get the advantage. You know what the other team is going to do on offense. And so K-State won on 1st and 2nd down. I'd be interested to go back in that game and look what the average 3rd to go distance was. It had to have been longer than 5 or 6 because it felt like when UCF picked up 1st downs, it wasn't on 3rd and 4th down. They were not very good on 3rd and 4th down. So you're right, Gilbert. I think we're all right. I just think K-State was better on 1st and 2nd down. And that's why they rotated so much, was because they could. And that's what they want to do.
So here's my theory on, because they did run 59 plays. There's 26 passes, 33 runs. But I bet you 2 of the penalties were plays that took place. They ran the play, and then they had to do it over again. They had 6 penalties total. And I think they had probably 4 pre-snap penalties just on the play clock alone. They kept making that mistake. So, yeah, that's probably where the disparity in numbers are. But, yeah, I mean, they seem okay with not playing guys that put in the time and look good at other positions. But now defensive end, they're trying to get everyone on the field. And they have enough book now on all these guys, enough snaps to know that what Jordan Allen is. Maybe they don't have enough on Ryan Davis, but they'll get there with him. They trust him a lot, obviously. But I'm just going to say, I think Cody Stufflebean's on the field too often. I think he's a really good player when he is fresh. Mm-hmm. But he is a guy that when he's not fresh, because he's not very fast to start with. And as someone who's not very fast, I understand that when I get tired, I am really not fast. And you go back to the Iowa State game, why was he in that position to be on the field late in the game with being in a position where he's got to cover a running back who's already a better athlete? So I just think they need to be more careful about who's on the field when. Cody has a great role with this team, but I think, look, if you're going to put someone at defensive tackle that's a defensive end, I trust him that fundamentally he's going to do the right thing. And but if he's not fresh, I don't think he needs to be out there. They don't want to use Cheaty at defensive tackle. Maybe he sucks at it. I haven't looked, but he's the right size. Cheaty might end up being a nose tackle at the NFL level. I mean, he's still filling out. He's like 275 now. I mean, think of the poundage Darren Howard put on over his career. He ended up over 300 pounds as a defensive end. But yeah, I think Cheaty's probably a 3-man front defensive end at the NFL level. So play him at D tackle a little bit. I want him on the field. He's a freak of an athlete. I want Toby on the field. I want Ryan Davis on the field. And there's other guys that can play. But those seem to be the dudes. I liked what they were doing with Toby at one point. He was picking what end he wanted to be on. Mm-hmm. And there was Travis Bates, a nose tackle or a true defensive tackle, and Cody Stufflebean. So whatever end he wanted to be on, that guy shifted over and played the D tackle. I thought that was really good. I liked it because then Toby could pick, I want to go up against this guy. The play is going to come this direction, whatever it was, whatever triggered him to do that. So, yeah.
Good stuff.
Move on. We're talking too much. Our guy, El Camino Cat. K-State didn't use any 2 running back sets against UCF. I think they did, didn't they? It seems like.
If you count Avery and.
Well, no.
I think Dylan, I don't know.
I think there was a snap when Dylan and Joe were out there together.
Maybe one.
Yeah. Do we have the running back depth to utilize 2 running back sets? Would using 2 running back sets help us turn Dylan Edwards into more of an all over the field weapon? He's right. They tried to use Joe as a lead blocker. He ran by the people he was supposed to block. How many times did that happen, guys, where we saw someone it happened on a punt return or a kickoff return too? This guy's coming down, but I'm not even looking at him. I'm running this way. No field vision, and the guy runs by and makes a tackle. So, yeah, I don't – again, just have someone that's a fullback first and can play tight end second instead of tight end first and fullback second on everyone. You need a true fullback. Sometimes you got to pick up that yard. But, yeah, I like the idea. But, honestly, El Camino, I think they're a little bit down on Joe, that he had a great opportunity and really didn't do much with it. Okay, maybe the line was part of that. But in reality, you got to make people miss once in a while, and I don't feel like he was making anyone miss.
Yeah, I think it's perplexing that Devon Rice hasn't really done much since that game against North Dakota. I think he had a really good game. And then JB Price came in against Arizona, ran the ball really hard. To El Camino's point, there was actually 1-2 running back set that I remember, and Dylan Edwards was out of the game. Joe Jackson was out of the game. JB Price and Devon Rice were in the game, and it just happened to be a touchdown shovel pass to Garrett Oakley. If you go back and you look at that, those 2 running backs were in the game. So I struggle with this. I would love to see Devon Rice and Dylan Edwards on the field at the same time. I mean, how awesome would that be? You've got 2 guys who can really, make a defense work. I'd love to see those 2 guys out there. I think JB Price has earned some playing time. He absolutely annihilated someone on the Bryce Norberg kickoff return for a touchdown. Like I said, he ran the ball hard against Arizona. So I don't know. I just think the guys haven't really separated themselves. Joe Jackson is clearly that number 2 running back, but he only had 4 carries against UCF. So I don't think we are going to see Joe Jackson get the same amount of run as like a DJ Giddens did when Deuce Vaughn was here. 5 carries. Okay. So I'd have to go back and look at the box scores with DJ and when Deuce was on the team, but I feel like he maybe had a few more carries than that on a per game basis. So Joe will be a good football player. I'm really high on Joe. I think he still has a lot of potential, but right now he's good in the role that he has.
Agree. And he's a good receiver.
Yeah.
He does bring that to the field. If he can really lock in on being a better lead blocker, he'll see the field more. Mm-hmm. And if you're on the field, you might get the call, have the ball in your hands. But you got to be out there. It's a strange thing. You got to be on the field participating in the play to actually get the ball. That's my analysis of that. Gills?
So if you're an opposing defense, Joe Jackson, Devon Rice, nobody that's listed as a running back that's not named Dylan Edwards has truly put enough on film to scare you. So there's one, I guess you could include Jace Brown. We'll see if he plays on Saturday or not. But the only other player on offense that has shown that is Avery Johnson. And we finally saw it on Saturday against UCF. So I would look at this not from a running back perspective on who can complement Dylan Edwards, but the Lamborghini that's been parked in the garage finally got out and took a stroll and had a lot of fun on Saturday against UCF. Avery Johnson, as a runner, can open the door wide open for Dylan Edwards. I do not believe Joe Jackson or Devon Rice can come close to what that can be. And we'll see if Jace plays against Baylor or not. If Jace plays, though, why would you not at least put him in the backfield here or there? Even if it's just a decoy, I don't see why you wouldn't do that. But we'll see if he plays.
I agree. Look, that Blake Barnett thing, I mean, you can put Avery and Dylan out there with him, and you put Jace behind him. what's the defense going to do with that? The problem with this offense has been, one, the line hasn't been very good. They were better, but they only worried about Avery. There was no complementary threat except for the 2 times they put Jace back there. They were still worried about Avery, and they got burnt both times by a guy that could burn you. And the other guys simply can't. They're not that point of their career, or maybe they're not good enough. I think Rice can get there, but Joe Jackson is what he is. He's gonna kind of be the grinder and mostly do the right things at the right time. But again, he's got to improve his blocking. Good heavens, young man! If you're on the field to block someone. Don't run past them. Next up, Mountain Dew Cat 74. Did KSU finally find the right combo on the OL? What was your favorite combination? Should Devin Voss and Gus Hawkins be starters? Should Taylor Porter be relegated to the bench? I agree with all that. If I want the young guys to learn. If the line's going to be bad and young. Don't be bad and old. What purpose does that serve? And Taylor Portier has really struggled. He has not been the same guy. He doesn't have the same level of aggression he did when he was younger before his knees went. And I think then if you need to give someone some relief, that's a perfect time to have a veteran come on the field.
Yeah.
I know what to do. I'm fresh. Here we go. Let's do it. As opposed to taking the veteran off and he's been struggling and you put a young guy in that isn't as game seasoned as that guy is. And now you're asking him to be perfect when he's been, watching the game. So again, I just said this on Scott McFarland's podcast that Bosco boys that just go young, just be young. You got Sam Hecht as your veteran in the middle, and hopefully you get Fitzpatrick back at some point. I don't know, but until then, I'm not blown away by any of the transfers. And if you're going to stink, I don't care what the NIL is, just play the young guys. Now, Voss was intriguing because he had some glaring mistakes. He didn't, on a pole, he didn't get to the guy and it blew up the play. Avery had to, get out of the pocket. But for the most part, he's mean. If he gets a hold of you, you're going to know it. And one of the problems of this line has been they don't play with enough attitude. You got to be an SOB sometimes and knock someone on their ass and kind of borderline block them and know when to stop blocking before you're called for a penalty. Demoralize people. And I think he's more than willing to do that. And I'm all in on him.
I agree. I mean, here's the thing about TP. I think that TP can still be a very valuable member of this offensive line. He just has to play the right amount. And Gilbert, you always used to talk about Mike McGurl, right? Like if Mike McGurl is in your starting 5, you're probably not an NCAA tournament team, but that doesn't mean he can't be the 6th or 7th guy off the bench and still have an extremely valuable role. Like it hasn't worked since TP's gotten hurt for him to be the all-conference lineman that I know he wants to be. And there's nobody that's more frustrated about it than he is. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is the most demoralizing feeling you can possibly have. I can only imagine how demoralizing it is to be like, crap, I'm just not as fast as I used to be. Like, I'm not as strong as I used to be. It's not his fault, but that doesn't mean that he still can't have success. And I think when you go back and you look at that game, TP played probably just about the right amount. I still maybe would like to see Langang play some more guard and Gus Hawkins play some more tackle and take away 1 or 2 drives from TP, because those 1 or 2 drives you take away from him, you put in Gus Hawkins. I don't think you lose much at the guard position because I think Andrew Langang is a much better guard than a tackle.
Agreed.
And I think Gus Hawkins is only getting better. I mean, Chris Kleiman's talked about that. So I do think Devin Voss played a great amount. I think he's only going to get better. Let's keep in mind, guys, he's a natural tackle. So, like, he's still learning that position as well. So, yeah, I mean, really what the conversation we're having is how much should Taylor Portier play? And right now, I think they're reducing his snap count. I mean, it's pretty obvious, guys. Like, he's been a guy who's played every single snap the first few weeks. That didn't happen on Saturday. And I think the coaches realize they have some young guys that they need to get into the game. And when they do that, good things happen. So I don't know what my favorite combination is, but I know that I think if you can reduce Taylor Poitier snaps and get Gus Hawkins on the field, any way you can do it, that's going to help.
And JB Nelson is another guy that has been around the block, but he isn't very good. He's too big to pull.
Yes. Yeah.
So he's a perfect guy to come in for 10, 15 snaps to relieve the young guys. I think they kind of got it backwards. You know, they said Ross played a lot because Nelson, you know, got dinged up or something and couldn't go. What'd you learn from that? You lost him and you had your best game as an offensive line. So, yeah, they're smarter than me about this stuff. But, again, find your five, man. Find your five and say, you're our guys. You know, if I had it up to me, it would be Pastore, Langang, Hecht, Voss, and Hawkins. Let's go to war, guys. Let's go. And then we got some great veterans to come in and give you some relief when you need it, including Enos. So, Good enough. Gills, you got anything?
Only thing I will add is we've got a lot of good stuff on GoPowercat throughout the week. One of my favorites is In the Trenches with Big B, Behind the Paywall. You will not find an offensive line breakdown for Kansas State anywhere else. Big B absolutely crushes it. Short and sweet to the point. He doesn't go ramble. He tells it like it is. So that's Behind the Paywall. Go check it out.
Yep, I agree. Next up, Mr. Tossback. What do you need to see this week to show last week was more about K-State getting right than about UCF being bad? That's a great question. I need to see them cut the explosives out because this is the most explosive offense in college football. This is a horrible matchup for this team. And another reason why it's a horrible matchup is they're perfectly comfortable in shootouts. Mm-hmm. And Kansas State's offense is perfectly comfortable having empty possessions of their own doing. Incomplete pass, guy was open. Bad run, someone stumbled. And, and then we scramble or whatever, and we don't pick up a first down, let's punt. You cannot do that in this game because Baylor won't have many empty possessions, particularly against this K-State defense. A defense that gives up explosive plays is going against dynamite. And I don't like the matchup at all, let alone the fact that it's in Waco. So yeah, Gannett, I gotta see some more defined personality from this defense because they were really good at times. And then a young safety goes for the interception in a position when you cannot do that. You're the last line of defense. The risk reward there is not in the favor of taking the risk. So those are the kind of subtle things they need to learn, and hopefully they are. But explosive play. Baylor just, Troy Robertson scares the hell out of me. He would scare the hell out of me if K-State had an elite defensive secondary.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah. It's as much as Fitz, I don't disagree with you because the defensive versus the offensive matchup for K-State and Baylor, yeah, that's very scary. But guess what? Baylor's saying the same thing because they're looking at Avery Johnson, and you know what their kryptonite is? Stopping the quarterback run. Stopping the run. How about just being a competent defense? Like, I know folks who are kind of debating on our message boards, which is just outstanding. I love it. Previewing the Baylor game, talking about Oklahoma State and Baylor, and the only reason Oklahoma State was in the game was because they had trick plays, or it's because they fired their coach, or it actually wasn't that close. But the reality of the situation is this was an 8-point game in the third quarter, like with Oklahoma State and Baylor. And it's not because Baylor couldn't score. It's because Baylor couldn't stop a soul against an inept Oklahoma State offense that just doesn't have Power 4 players on their roster. Like, I hate saying that, but it's the reality of the situation, and it's not the players' fault. It's the coaching staff's fault that's no longer there. So this Baylor defense, K-State can score against them. And you know how we have always said, like, they have to win time of possession. They have to run the ball. They have to do this. But it's so true this week. You run the ball, you control the clock, you assert your dominance on the ground, and you keep the ball out of that Baylor offense's hands. I truly believe K-State can win this game. And what do I need to see? I need to see the offensive line continue to have another good performance. like if they have a good performance, I truly believe that it will put pressure on the Baylor offense. K-State will get enough stops and they'll have success running the football and demoralize this Baylor defense and win the game. I want to see the trenches. I know we say that every week. Offensive and defensive lines continue to play well, and I really think K-State can win this game.
I agree with the offensive line, and Fitz, I agree with the explosive plays. And it's funny, to spoiler alert a little bit on our score predictions. Those will be up later in the week on the site, but a lot of us have a lot of points being scored in this game. So don't be surprised if this turns into just one of those shootouts that you see in Big 12 play. But taking a step back, man, I just want Kansas State to pass the eye test, regardless of the scheme or the personnel, the play calling, the execution. I want to see Kansas State play with that fire, play with that spark. I want, like Cole, you mentioned it here on the Insiders, I believe, the bench warning, the sideline warning. I want to see that. I want to see all maybe 9-10 guys crash into the ball on defense when it seems like someone's trying to fight for an extra yard for Baylor, and K-State's defense is saying no. I want to see an interception. I want to see everybody celebrating. I do think it's a problem that you had to even bring up the fact that you need players to be celebrating good plays in the first place, but better late than never. Keep that going in Waco. So if I was just sitting in the stands and I wasn't covering the game in the press box and I wasn't even listening to anything, I was just watching the guys play, and you can see them having fun playing for each other. K-State is going to have a chance to win the game. K-State's going to be competitive in most games moving forward. So what do I need to see this week? As the question asks, I just want to see K-State play with fire. I don't care about what actually happens in terms of the execution.
Jace Brown being healthy would be huge because that changes the way a defense, they have to account for him. And if they want to sit back in zone to keep an eye on Avery, Jace is going to find the places where they're not. Pretty simple. And if they have to play man and turn their backs to Avery, they're going to get torched. Again, it just comes back to this. They don't have a ton of weapons, but they've never had the weapons they need to have out on the field together. And I'd like to see what it looks like with that, because then the whole playbook opens up and the things you can do to a defense gets much more volatile. You can just do a lot more things that can really hurt a defense.
Wow. Kansas State has not had a game with Avery and Dylan and Jace. It's the first time I really thought of that, Vince.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And now you got Bradley out too, which, hey, you're playing well. Go break a hand. I think that's what's happened to him. Mm-hmm. Just come on. Final up. I don't know if this is a 2-minute drill, but I asked Garrett Oakley about this very thing. Did O2 Cat, did anyone have the first recordable stat for Lincoln Cure as an interception on their bingo card? No. That is going to be a very funny story. If Lincoln goes on and has a long, illustrious career in football, plays in the NFL for 5+ years or whatever, his first touch at a college football game was him throwing an interception, not being on the wrong end of an interception. He threw it as a tight end receiver.
That was a duck. That was a duck.
I don't fault the play call at all.
No.
I love the creativity. I fault that you put a true freshman, who hasn't even really played much, into that position with a drive that's being successful. That bothered me. And again, it's a great play call when it works, and it was stupid when it doesn't work. And that's what the trap we all fall into. I didn't mind the play. I didn't like when it came. Get him into the game a little bit. Throw him the ball. Let him get out there and block for a while and settle in and make sure he understands. If there's a guy within 3 feet of that receiver, you either tuck it and run or you throw it away. Whatever's the best option. Don't lose yardage because you can throw it away. But if you can pick up a yard, do it. Don't put the ball in peril.
It was a first down play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So live to see 2nd and 10. That's not the end of the world.
Yeah. But I asked Oak about it, and he was laughed. He goes, I wanted to say something in the course of the game, but he's a freshman. I didn't want to mess with him. I appreciate the reminder. I'm going to go to the locker room and mess with him now.
Hey, you know what? Shout out to Lincoln Cure getting his first catch on a key 3rd and 10. He's going to have a really big role on this team, guys. And I'm excited for the future of that young man. I thought that ball, as I mentioned, it was a duck, but guess what? He played the rest of the game, and that did not affect his confidence one single bit. So excited for him moving forward. And I think he can be another weapon that K-State can utilize. And he's played more and more, and he's really kind of turning into that second tight end, potentially. Maybe behind Garrett Oakley, third tight end.
I think he's going to be a tight end, but I think he's a receiver the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I think that's they're forced personnel-wise to do that. They've gone to a fifth tight end before, and they've got a lot of tight ends that can play. They're running out of receivers. And he, at his size and athleticism, you do have to pay attention to him. And I remember the Arizona game, he lined up in man coverage with no safety help, and the play went the other direction. I'm like, I would take him on a jump ball.
Yep, absolutely.
Guys, sometimes you make football too complicated. Throw ball high, tall guy, go get ball. That's the play call. Is that it, boys? That it? We're done.
Sure.
We appreciate you watching, listening to the Powercat Podcast. The K-State pregame show comes the next day. The walkthrough with Monty Spiller and Cole Carmody comes the next day. And by the way, we put it up early with an 11 a.m. game, and it got lost a little bit. It's going to be up at 11 a.m. on GoPowercat this week, even though it's an 11 a.m. game. So 11 a.m. Friday it'll show up. It premieres 10 a.m. on YouTube. I don't want shows premiering because they're just running. It's like turning on the channel in the middle of a show. I don't want to do that. It's going to confuse people. So 10 a.m. on the YouTube machine, 11 a.m. and it'll be there on Friday. So if you like that show, and I think it's for a lot of people, it's their favorite show, and it should be, get ready to watch it before you leave work, or save it for the tailgate if you're going to be in Waco. I'll be in Waco. Cole and Big B are going to do
Cole and Monty Spiller at your tailgate. I'm sure that would get your fans hyped up for a game.
Yes, I like it. In theory, Ryan Gilbert will be in Waco.
We'll see.
He's got a wedding, and then he's flying in the morning of the game. So 11 a.m. was not good news for the GoPowercat team. He's got, everything runs on time, he's got 85 minutes before kickoff to get to the stadium.
Come on, American Airlines. We need you.
Famous last words. Relying on American Airlines to be on time is like relying on me to lose weight.
This has been a GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street production. Please support this show by subscribing to this YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite podcast platform.